Hey gang, all right, so in the last video, we uploaded an image here to storage. You can see it's 179 kilobytes, which is more or less the same as here. And it's got this content type of image, JPEG. Great. Now the next step is to get that to get this URL and add it to our firestore. So in our firestore, we're going to want a collection ID of images. And I'm going to click auto ID so that it auto IDs all the documents. And I can actually, yeah, I'll just leave that empty document there. And this document is going to have a field which we're going to call image URL. And that's going to be a string, and this will be a path. A firestore path. And what we're going to make it automatically when people drag and drop in. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make a reference to that location on Firestore, which is in a collection called images. So I can say right here below my database reference, I'll say images ref equals database dot collection images. And now we can use that images ref to upload this URL that we just got here. So we're gonna, right here where we were logging this out to the console, we're gonna actually use that now. And it's pretty straightforward. All we gotta do is say images ref dot add, and we're gonna call that function and pass in a location and the data. And so that data is going to be download URL, and the location is going to be in this key image URL. So just like here, we've got image URL. Each one of these is going to be an object. And now we can see, if I go to my image gallery, and I will, I'm very tired of this. I'm going to grab this and drag and drop it. Still nothing here. That's going to be in our next video. We're going to do that. But you can see I did get a new image URL that leads to a Firebase storage, and it's in the right place. So now what we need to do is, and you know what? It's not going to be in the next video. It's just going to be this video. In this video, I'm going to just, or the next step we're going to do is we're going to add a listener onto our images database. And so we can say again, we'll say images ref, and we'll say dot on snapshot. So this is one of the very coolest things about Firestore is you can say something like on snapshot. And what does this mean? It means whenever you get this message that I'm about to create, you can do something. So it's like a real-time listener on this database. Excuse me. On this database. And so we can create a function that takes in that snapshot, and we'll say whenever that snapshot changes, we'll say snapshot.doc changes. Whenever this function gets called, in other words, whenever an image gets added to our Firestore, then I want to whatever's in those changes, I want to, which will come back as an array. I want to, and that's going to be an array of these images because it's going to be, so our array will be images, and for each one of those images, I'm going to add to gallery, and we'll add to gallery an image path. And let me just make that constant here. We'll say const image path. An image path is going to be some data that comes in with each snapshot change. And that image, that data is going to be this. And so if we want to, we can console.log this update that we get. So we can just have a good look at what we're dealing with here. So update is going to be an array of changes that have occurred. And these image paths, this image for each one of these things, I'm going to log out. I'll log out the whole thing, and then I'll log out each one of these steps we did here. So we'll say image.doc, and we'll say, oh, and this is actually wrong, .data.image URL. And we'll log out .doc, and then we'll log out image.doc.data, and this data is going to be the entire data object, and then I'm just going to pull that key off here. So let's log out one more thing here to the console, data.image URL. Obviously, you can store anything you want here in Firestore, and for our course, I stored things like messages, all the messages that any given person has made, and anything else really that you want to store, the game state or anything else. So let's just see what happens now if we, image.doc is not a function at app22. Oh, right, that's not a function. Yeah, that's an object. Image path is not defined at 26. Oh, good point. So let's change that. And now we are getting some stuff. I don't know what's going on here. 404 not found. Oh yeah, that's because I have this item in here that doesn't actually have an image path. So let's get rid of that. And let's just get rid of that whole document. We'll say delete document. And go back to the image gallery, and you can see it's still freaking out. There we go. So now, right now, it's just got this one image URL from Firestore that's in there. But if I drag and drop another image in, it should add it to Firestore, and it should also, it'll add it to Firebase storage and also add it to Firebase storage and Firestore. So this one should work. Waves 13, drag and drop it in, and we get those the data, and I also get the image eventually showing up. So let's dive, before we end this video, let's just dive in here and take a look at these. So we get first this thing called image, then we get image.doc, then we get image.doc.data, then we get .data image URL. So let's look first, and first we get update. So let's see, first is the update, and it's this big crazy data object in here, and inside of here there is a item called data, and I'm forgetting exactly where it is. Maybe it's in ID exists, let's see, somewhere down in here, dialed in here, and I forget exactly where it is. Oh, there's doc right there. So image dot doc, and then image dot doc dot data is going to be in here, and basically you just need to know that you want to register a snapshot and look for any doc changes. And then when that runs, you should get back this array of doc changes, which I've stored as update. And then you can iterate over those and grab out the doc data from each one of those items. And then do whatever it is you want to do with it, whatever there is that's useful in there. In our case, we just have that image URL. And we add it to the gallery. And that's that. So I hope that was fun. And in a further video, I'm going to use these in P5. And so that'll be fun to try and use this asynchronous programming paradigm for grabbing information from the inner tubes and use it in a P5 sketch. And I'll also make I'll make a video about this notion of a promise. And we'll look at that. We'll dial down with that in a little more detail. And that actually might be a good next video. So I think that's what I'll do in the next video. Anyway, hope that helped, and